Have you ever seen an email subject line or an ad headline or even a title on a piece of content that got you to want to watch it like almost immediately when you read it? Well, if you did, chances are they were using something called relevancy triggers. And if you don't know what a relevancy trigger is, well, this is the episode for you. If you want to learn how to get more clicks on your content, on your subject lines, on your ads, whatever it may be, well, we're going to break it all down for you and show you exactly how to do it on this episode. So if that's interesting to you, well, keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode number 2 of our brand new series all about conversion messaging. Today is going to be a simple and easy one, just like last week. We're just going to talk about something called relevancy triggers. We're going to dive right into it. So there is a concept that we've been playing around with that we talked about in the last episode, which is conversion messaging, right? And conversion messaging essentially is messaging that is designed to add value, but drive the conversion that you're looking for. And that conversion could be people watching your content, clicking on your content, opening your emails, clicking on your ads, opting in on your opt-in page, right? Everything that we do needs a conversion. And your messaging, if it's not being designed for that conversion and adding value, you're going to run into big problems. And so one of the tools that we use to help us craft really, really powerful conversion messaging is something called a relevancy trigger. And the idea is the more relevant that you become to the person you're speaking to, the more likely they are to feel like this is exactly for them. And it moves them a little bit more. It creates an automatic decision of I'm going to watch, or I'm going to click, or I'm going to stay, or this is interesting to me. And so we want relevancy triggers. And I'm going to go through a couple of them inside our program. We have more of them, obviously, but basically a relevancy trigger is a style of communication that takes your solution or what you sell and say it in such a way that your audience automatically feels like you're talking directly to them and their situation. So the biggest relevancy triggers that you have will also be the biggest and most important and effective messaging topics, funnels, and more. And there's about 4 of them I want to go through with you. So the 4 are identity, problems, benefits, and mistakes that they're currently making. Okay. So I'm going to break them down super simply. Identity is going to be the person that you want to attract. So identity is just going to be the name of something that they would identify as. So a mom, a dad, a brother, a runner, someone over the age of 40 or whatever, right? So when you start to use those in your titles and your communication and your language, it starts to feel like it's more geared towards that person. And again, it doesn't have to be something where you're like, oh, now I'm going to limit who I'm going to speak to. No, it can be as generalized as a mom, a dad, a man, a woman, whatever, a kid, whatever it is you want. But you can also get as narrow as you want. But just the difference, like if I said how to do downward dog, right? But I said how men can do downward dog. Again, I'm not really limiting who that's for, except, the difference between men and women, but there's still a massive amount of audience there. But just even adding that word is going to make it more relevant to men, which means I'm going to get higher click-through rates because they're going to feel like it's more geared towards them. So identity is huge. So understanding the identity of who you want to attract is very powerful because you start to use those triggers inside of your titles to get more clicks. Number 2 is the problem. So around that topic that you chose. So we talked about topics in the last episode. Around that topic, what is around that topic? What is the problem that is influencing that topic that you can incorporate into the title? So for example, if the topic that I wanted to go after was how to create engaging content, I would say, well, what's the problem around content? Well, people think it takes too long. So then I could say, well, how to create engaging content in 5 minutes or less. So by adding the 5 minutes or less, I'm addressing the underlying issue or problem that they have in their mind. Number 3 is going to be benefit. And benefit is just going to be the thing that they desire, the thing that they want. And honestly, this one's pretty common. Like most people already know this, but we're going to throw it in there anyway. So when we can talk about the thing they want, then it becomes more relevant. So I'm just going to create a title right now. How course creators can create engaging content in 5 minutes or less. So that has 3 relevancy triggers in it. I used the word course creator, which is the identity. I said engaging content, which is the benefit. And then I said in 5 minutes or less, which addresses the problem. So that title has 3 different triggers in it and becomes way more effective. Anytime you put it in an email subject line or an ad or a piece of content. So you could have how to create engaging content or how course creators create engaging content in 5 minutes or less. It's going to be way more effective. Now imagine you have that style of messaging throughout your entire brand. Probably see some big differences, right? I'll give you one more relevancy trigger, which is the mistake that they're currently making to try to fix the problem. So what are they doing to try to get the result that they want? When we look at the benefit, what are they doing that is not really working? And when you incorporate that into your titles and you use the word without, so you say without doing this thing that you're doing, then it becomes more relevant because they go, oh my gosh, I can get that result without doing this thing that I'm doing and it's not really working and I don't really want to do it anymore. For example, I'll give you a title. Let's say you're over the age of 40. You want to break the 3-hour mark in the marathon, which I have done once, but I've only run one marathon. And you're over the age of 40, and I was 29 or 28. So, but anyways, how anyone over the age of 40 can run under a 3-hour marathon, that's the result they want, right? So we have the identity. Anyone over the age of 40 can run a marathon under 3 hours, which is the result they want. And then I ask myself, well, what are they doing to try to break the 3-hour mark? And I can just say, well, they're doing really, really long runs. I was like, well, if they just did more speed workouts, maybe they wouldn't have to, right? So I'm going to add without doing long runs because I know that's what they're doing. So now the title becomes how anyone over the age of 40 can run under a 3-hour marathon without doing long runs. It's like, okay, there's 3 triggers in there. I talk about the mistake they're doing that isn't working for them, that they now no longer have to do. The result of breaking the 3-hour marathon, and I have the identity of being over the age of 40. Let's do another one. How men can do downward dog without having to stretch their back. So I have men, the identity, doing downward dog, which is the benefit or the end result. And then without, the thing that they continue to do that's not actually helping them, which is stretching out their back. So let's do another one. 5 ways any mom can get their kids ready on time in the morning without having to yell. So 5 ways any mom, there's the identity, can get the kids ready on time, there's the benefit, without having to yell, the mistake they make to try to get people done on time that doesn't actually work. So there's 3 relevancy triggers in there. Here's another one. 3 signs you may be suffering from being a parentified daughter. This is something I got from holistic psychologists. So 3 signs you may be suffering from being a parentified daughter. So the parentified daughter is obviously the identity. And then suffering is going to be the problem. And so this one is actually directly using the problem. But I wanted to throw this one in here because this one is also a piece of content that we call self-identifying, which we talked about in episode number 1, but we also are going to talk about it in our 3-day series a lot more. Okay. So we'll talk about that later. But the beautiful part about this is that when you write out the signs of the suffering from the parentified daughter, and it's so specific that that's what they're actually doing and going through, well, then it starts to land and they start to realize, oh my gosh, maybe I'm the parentified daughter. So there's a self-identifying concept with that title. So this title does have 2 relevancy triggers in it, but it's also very heavy in curiosity, but it's going to lead to a piece of content that has the symptoms, the problems, the very specific problems that when they read it, they go, oh my God, that's me. And I have that problem. And guess what? Who are they going to go to fix that problem? To you. So again, the last one's a little bit different than the others, but the idea is that you're going to be using relevancy triggers in the titles to get more clicks, more downloads, and more things automatically without really having to think about it. Now, like we said on the first episode, we do have a PDF that covers this, goes into a little bit more detail, has all this written out for you, and I want you to get it. All you need to do is go to learn.brandonlucero.com/CM for conversion messaging, CM PDF. So learn.brandonlucero.com/CM PDF. We will also have it available in the show notes below. You'll be able to see the replays from this series. You'll be able to get the PDF downloads and outlines that go along with each one of these episodes so that you can start using things like relevancy triggers inside of your titles. You can figure out how to find the most effective titles for your pieces of content and more. So go do that now and get ready because we have another episode coming next week. So I'll see you then.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.